Hong Kong records first local chikungunya case. Association of Southeast Asian Nations adds first new member since 1999. And Sino-US trade talks wrap up in Kuala Lumpur. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. Hong Kong recorded its first local case of chikungunya, involving an 82-year-old woman residing in Diamond Hill's Fung Tak estate. Initial checks indicate the likelihood of the virus having been spread throughout the housing estate, with more than 10,000 people at risk of infection. Hong Kong's latest case of chikungunya, and the first case originating locally, reportedly involved a woman living in Fung Tak estate, Sui Fung House. The Center for Health Protection said the woman experienced ankle pain and swelling starting on the 18th of this month. She subsequently suffered from fever and joint pain in her arms and legs before seeking medical help from a private doctor. The woman was later confirmed with a chikungunya infection at Kwang Wah Hospital's A&E ward. Health authorities determined the case to be of local origin owing to her lack of travel outside of the city over the past month. This as more than 10,000 residents in the housing estate are at risk of infection. Authorities reminded such individuals to call the government hotline if they experience symptoms such as fever or joint pain after October 1st. CHP controller Edwin Cui said the patient did not leave Wong Tai Sin or the area surrounding her housing estate throughout her incubation period. The source of her infection has yet to be confirmed. Regarding the risk of a viral outbreak, authorities stressed that finding other possible cases and mosquito eradication need to be prioritized. They added the infection risk can only be halted after at least 12 days of mosquito control work. Sources say the woman frequented locations such as Fengchun Court, Tsuwonshan Shopping Center, and Plaza Hollywood. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, Christopher Hui, revealed more details about the bottled water scandal during an exclusive interview with TVB News. He said officers from the Government Logistics Department, or GLD, failed to report the suspicious signs to the Central Tender Board during the procurement process. Samantha Lee has more.
The Audit Commission's review indicates a procedural lapse. Despite two submissions of fraudulent documents by Xindingxin Trading, GLD merely asked for resubmissions instead of alerting the Central Tender Board. Speaking with TVB News, Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Christopher Hui suggested that the negligence was possibly due to time pressure. He also put forward another scenario. As GLD plays a crucial role in fostering border participation in bidding, staff members might have been keen to facilitate new suppliers' compliance with government standards. And the staff in this case may have been thinking only from a facilitator's point of view. According to general practices, tender results have to be approved by the chairperson of the Central Tender Board. Did the chair notice anything wrong in advance? Hui said based on the GLD's report, the department did not flag any issues to the board, which would have allowed the board to make informed decisions. While he believed the event was inherently a scam, he will refer it to the relevant law enforcement entities if criminal elements are discovered. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
China's top trade negotiators said they have reached a preliminary consensus with the U.S. after 2 days of wide-ranging discussions in Malaysia. U.S. President Donald Trump said he expects a comprehensive deal on issues including fentanyl when he meets President Xi Jinping during the APEC summit. Danny Zhou reports.
Day 2 of the China-U.S. trade talks in Kuala Lumpur. Chinese economic officials, including Vice Premier Li Feng and top trade negotiator Li Chenggang, arrived at the convention center to meet their U.S. counterparts, as both sides seek to avert further escalations in a trade war. Li Feng was seen waving at the media pool when he left the venue on the first day. Li said on Sunday that an initial consensus has been reached with Washington on issues including the extension of their tariff truce, fentanyl, and export controls. The U.S. side, meanwhile, depicted the talks as constructive. Treasury Chief Scott Bessent told reporters he thinks they've built a very successful framework for the prospective Trump-Xi meeting on the APEC sidelines next week. Bloomberg reported that Donald Trump intended to exert pressure on China during his Asia tour by signing deals with trade partners on trade and critical minerals. The US president earlier brought up a series of topics of discussion with Xi, including China's purchases of Russian oil, soybeans, and the issue of fentanyl.
Will you discuss purchases of Russian oil with Xi Jinping? Are you worried about the Chinese?
I may be discussing it, but you know, China's, I don't know, you probably saw it today, China's cutting back very substantially on the purchase of Russia oil, and India's cutting back completely, and we've done sanctions. Our farmers to be taken care of, and he wants things also. We're going to be talking about fentanyl, of course. You know, we'll be talking about a lot of things.
Trump also said they're likely to ink a comprehensive deal.
I think we have a really good chance of making a very comprehensive deal.
Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Donald Trump has said he will further raise duties on Canadian exports to the U.S. by 10% after an advert in Ontario featuring Ronald Reagan. The foundation set up in the former president's name were angry because they say the excerpts from a speech made by Reagan in 1987 do not fully reflect his views, and permission was not granted to use the material. Canada are the only G7 country not to make a deal with the U.S. over tariffs, and Trump says they deserve to be punished.
Well, Canada lied. I mean, what they did was terrible. They made up a fake statement by President Reagan. Reagan was a big supporter of tariffs when needed, and we need tariffs for national security, and they totally turned it around because they're getting hurt by tariffs and we're gaining by tariffs. They've used tariffs on us when we had different presidents very successfully, and they've taken a lot of money out of our country, and now we're taking it all back. So they went out and they made a fake commercial. The Reagan Foundation went crazy when they saw it because it was, you know, the opposite. It was the opposite of what Ronald Reagan liked tariffs, and when necessary, he would use tariffs.
And still ahead, Ireland elects its third female president. Local officials spend their Sunday promoting Legco election. And for the first time, a Cantonese version of the National Games theme song. Welcome back. Families and supporters of Israeli hostages call for the quick return of all the dead bodies of those taken by Hamas in 2023. Finding the victims in Gaza is difficult and dangerous. 2 years of conflict has left unexploded missiles lying in the rubble. David Garrett reports.
A different tone, but the same demonstrators on the streets of Tel Aviv. Activists and supporters of hostages demanding the return of at least 13 bodies still in Gaza.
As our families begin to heal, so too can Israel. The wounds are deep, but our unity and compassion are stronger than despair. The torch still burns, though, and we will keep its flame alive until every hostage returns home.
A slow, mournful version of the national anthem was sung as the protesters vowed accountability from their leaders in Israel and to bring Hamas to justice for holding their loved ones. Gaza City resembles an uninhabitable waste ground after 2 years of war. Some areas deserted for weeks or months. Finding the remaining dead hostages is a difficult and painstaking challenge, a dangerous process with unexploded ordnance hampering those efforts. Yahya and his sister Nabila, the latest victims, even though there is a ceasefire in place. The twins found a round object they thought was a toy. The 6-year-olds were thrown in the air and found bleeding after an explosion. Their faces have shrapnel scars. The pair both required life-saving surgery at Shifa Hospital. Grandfather Tawfiq al-Shabasi tries to comfort the wounded, with one having lost a hand, the other could lose a leg. We heard a bang, ran outside and found them. This was deliberately set to explode against children.
They came in with severe injuries and they're both critically unwell. And this is one of many cases that we've seen where even though the bombs dropping from the sky have slowed down, they haven't stopped, they've slowed down, there are still many unexploded missiles in the rubble, in the remains of people's homes.
Medics say they are receiving about one person per day with injuries inflicted by live ammunition. Diplomacy continues to try to hold peace in place, hoping to ensure there are less like the Shabasi children. President Trump made a flying visit to Qatar to refuel on his way to Malaysia. He praised the ruling Al Thani family, saying they were loved and respected and had been a big factor in securing the deal between Hamas and Israel. He said Hamas will not be difficult to deal with if they fail to keep their word. Trump says his deal is keeping the Middle East safe now and will for a long time. David Garrett, TVB News.
Left-wing independent Catherine Connolly, who secured the backing of Ireland's left-leaning parties, including Sinn Féin, has won the country's presidential election. She won 63% first preference votes when spoiled votes were excluded. That's compared to 29% of her rival Heather Humphreys of the centre-right party Fine Gael. Connolly will succeed Michael D. Higgins, who has been president since 2011. Having served the maximum 2 7-year terms, she will be Ireland's 10th president and the third woman to hold the post. Connolly, a former barrister who has served as lawmaker since 2016, has been outspoken in criticizing Israel over the war in Gaza. She has also warned against the European Union's growing militarization following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
From day one, I emphasised that I was an independent candidate with an independent mind. And for all who voted for me, thank you very much. It will be an absolute privilege to serve you. For those who didn't vote for me and those who spoiled their votes, let me tell you, I will be an inclusive president to listen to all of you. I will be making no distinction on the basis of votes.
Several vessels continue to remove the remaining debris of the Emirates cargo plane that crashed earlier, resulting in 2 deaths. The Guangzhou-based salvage vessels returned to the crash site at around 10 a.m. today, successfully removing the aircraft's left wing at around 2 p.m. By around 5 p.m., the entire first half of the plane was lifted and placed off a vessel. 2 of the plane's black boxes that hold the aircraft's communication records were salvaged earlier, with an investigative report set to be published in 1 month's time. The 8th-term Legislative Council election will take place this December. Several top officials called on the public to cast their votes. Samantha Lee has more.
立法對維持個人形象好重要。
Using Cantonese puns, Secretary for Security Chris Tang, Under-Secretary for Security Michael Chuk, and Permanent Secretary for Security Patrick Lee acted out an entertaining scene in a short video to encourage more people to participate in the upcoming Legco poll. Chief Executive John Lee also made his call while attending the Scout rally. He urged all Scout members and leaders to take part in the election, describing it as their civic responsibility. Meanwhile, exhibitions were set up in various districts. In a shopping mall in Saiwan, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chen said residents should take a look at the candidates' background and election platforms before casting ballots. He added that patriots could also hold diverse views on particular social issues. In another event, Secretary for Education Christine Choi also urged all sectors of society to vote on the polling day. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The Cantonese version of Magnificent Momentum, the theme song for the upcoming National Games, was officially released on Saturday. It is the first theme song for the event to have an official version in the Southern dialect. Let's have a listen. Partially sung by local Canopop singer Leo Koo, the performer believes the Cantonese lyrics help to remind those living in the Greater Bay Area the significance of this year's games being held in Hong Kong, Macau, and the GBA. Fellow Cantonese performers Deng Xunxi and Lo Ka-ho said they hope the song can symbolize the athletic prowess of the nation's sportsmen, with Lo, a native of Macau, emphasizing the opportunity to showcase the enclave's musical talent. This is Cui Xixuan, the lyricist for the song's Cantonese version, noted how he was deeply inspired by Hong Kong's rich pop music heritage. Cui said some of the song's lyrics were written in hopes of reminding listeners of Hong Kong classics from the 80s and 90s. Meanwhile, the director of the music video, Hwang Min-lee, believes the Cantonese lyrics are meant to unite the shared cultures of Hong Kong, Macau, and the GBA.
Police seized suspected ketamine worth about $90 million as an industrial unit in Hung Hom and arrested an Israeli national in connection with the case. A total of 8 boxes of suspected ketamine were seized, each weighing about 25 kilograms, for a total of around 200 kilograms. At an industrial building on Ma Ta Wai Road, the police stopped and searched a 45-year-old Israeli man and found a 45-gram packet of suspected ketamine on him. They then brought him into a mini-storage unit in the building, where they found the largest stash and arrested the man. Sources said the man entered Hong Kong in the middle of this month on a tourist visa. The Shenzhou 20 crew on China's space station are preparing for their return to Earth after staying in orbit for more than 6 months. The trio, Chen Dong, Chen Zhongrui, and Wang Jie, are continuing with their experiments and equipment maintenance while getting ready for their journey back. During the past months, they have undertaken research and technology tests in areas such as space life sciences, microgravity, fundamental physics, space material science, space medicine, and advanced aerospace technologies. They have also conducted multiple extravehicular activities and undertaken equipment maintenance. The crew will rotate with Shenzhou 21 astronauts who will take over the work in orbit. And that's the news. Thanks for watching.